Alright, hello everyone to the final part of the draft analysis between us, Team Tundra, and Team Secret. So this is game 3. We had just won 2 games, and first, I guess I'm going to talk about our mentality going to the third game. So we had just won 2 games, and we were feeling really good, but we wanted to keep our emotions level and sort of be prepared for the third one. The biggest discussion between the second and third game was what we want to play against, because we for sure didn't want to play against Nyx, and we were thinking about whether we want to keep banning this Monkey King. But if we ban Nyx and Monkey King, that would give them the Marcy that we had discussed about before the series as one of their strong strategies. In the end, we decided the Monkey King gave them the most comfort and Nyx was the most annoying, so we want to ban those two and play against the Marcy. So something that we thought during this game was that we still had a lot of pressure on them mentally. I don't know if it's something like that we really out loud acknowledged, but I think everyone understood that there was a lot of mental pressure against them, and that was sort of confirmed when they banned this Tuskar. It also meant that when they banned Tuskar, it meant that they were likely to pick the Leshrac again. To be honest, I thought they were going to pick Leshrac on 5 and just give us a Marcy once I saw this Tuskar pick, because I thought they were banning the Tuskar specifically for the Leshrac. However, what ended up happening was they 5-picked the Marcy, and we decided that if they're going to 5-pick Marcy, we just wanted to pick 2 supports that are sort of robust versus Marcy. And we ended up picking the Tiny Potom. I think if you go back in Dota, a lot of patches, before it might have been unfavorable to dual pick supports on the first phase of second pick, 6-7. But something that we looked a lot about from the LCQ, Last Chance Qualifiers, was that teams that had success there, like Liquid, a lot of the times they were actually 6-7 their supports, and their drafts ended up looking pretty good. So what my thought was that you can 6-7 your supports as long as your 2 heroes are sort of robust. For us, I feel like Tiny Potom, it covers a lot of weaknesses in draft. It gives you a lot of nuke, it gives you strong lanes, the team fight's not bad, and you're not lacking some like melee hero to go in or some range hero to do damage. I think what happened in the past was that people would pick 2 range supports, like Jakiro Shadow Demon, and they would just be so pathetic together the entire game that it sort of made it so people didn't want to pick on 6-7. The nice part about picking 6-7 supports is that if they 8-pick a core that is non-flex, let's use the example of Lina again. Let's say, for example, they 8-pick the Lina here after our 2 supports. We can counter-pick the Lina on 15 with a mid, whatever that is. I don't really know what counters Lina mid. And then their 16-7, they'll pick another core, we'll counter it on 18. And then at 23, they'll pick another core, and we just counter that on 24. And you have 3 counter-picks on the core lanes and make the late game sort of smooth in terms of the laning stage is one of the advantages. Some of the disadvantages is that your supports aren't flexible, so your early map pressure is very telegraphed, and also there are a lot of heroes that you can pick once you see the supports. So I think this might be maybe some of the greedier mids. If they don't pick a roamer, you're able to pick like some really greedy mids, the snipers, the arc wardens, but also on the side lanes there's a lot of heroes like, oh, I can't pick this hero because a certain support is still in the game. One example of this would be was maybe a year ago when Beastmasters were going to board builds. They picked Chandler Edge, GG, lane's over. Cannot play this lane. So they picked a Leshrac, and even though the hero lost 2 times, I actually respect this decision. It's probably the hero that they had the most success with in the past in scrims throughout the tournament, and I think it's not good to go too much away from your comfort in these high pressure games. Sometimes you have to, and there'll be an adjustment you make, but I like the fact that even though they're losing a bit, they won't give up on their ideas, because I know people have criticized Puppy for this in the past, but I actually think it's how you have to do it, because people aren't considering the mental side of Dota enough. If you pick strategies and heroes are familiar to your players, then they can adapt to the game a lot better. If you pick stuff that they're not familiar with, they're going to spend, instead of playing the game, they're going to spend their entire time thinking about how to play the hero. And Dota's a game where there are like a million different things you can do, and you want to limit how much you have to think about. So that's why I actually respect this Leshrac pick. The other thing is, they played Leshrac in a lot of different lanes, so it makes it hard for us to predict where the hero's going, and that's why it's a strong pick. It's not like Lina, where we can just pick the mid counter pick here. Anyways, so they banned the Tidehunter. I think this is, probably a result of the game 1 that we played against them, where Neto is playing the unkillable Tidehunter. We just wanted to ban heroes for our 15 pick that we thought would be good versus our hero that we were going to pick there. I think we had already decided by the time we banned this Morphling that we were thinking of Pangolier. We thought that Pangolier, it complemented our 2 heroes really well, because while I mentioned that these 2 heroes, they do a lot, they're pretty robust, the team fight's like just okay. It's a lot of burst, a lot of damage, some kiting, some long range, you can initiate, but you don't have that oomph in the team fight that some Tidehunter, Pangolier, Morph, bars or whatever it gives you. So they banned Tide, and they're actually on the same idea, right? They think that we need teamfight, which is why they ended up banning Tidehunter and then this Brewmaster. But I feel like this Brewmaster ban was a bit weird. We hadn't played the hero this tournament, but to be honest, it was actually a hero that we had talked about adding to our hero pool during the 5-day break, and I think Neta might have played him a couple games because the hero did look on the up and up. I think specifically XXS from Team Aster, his Brewmaster looked really good. We lost a scrim to Aster, I believe, where he was playing Brewmaster, so Mayday also played versus Brewmaster, and we're like, oh, this hero is actually pretty good. We should ban it. Same thing for us. We decided that we wanted to ban another hero for our Pangolier, which we thought was a Kunkka. I think we're deciding between a few different things. It might have been like some Void Spirit or whatever here. It's not like Pango can't lane versus heroes, but versus Nisha specifically, I think the Kunkka is a really good ban because, I don't know, anyone who watched, I don't remember if it was the TI qualifiers or the LCKO, but this guy's Kunkka was doing way too much work. Like, I did not know that Tidebringer could do so much damage in teamfights. He just kept destroying everything. He was always help networked the entire game. The guy's Kunkka is way too good. So we just wanted it out of there. This is also an idea that I mentioned in the game where they picked Chen, where they could have banned the Mirana into picking the Chen. But on our 14 ban, we just banned the hero that makes it the most obvious we're going to pick Pango, so most direct counter. We banned the Bloodseeker. It's also a good hero for Crystallis. He has a lot of Bloodseeker games. He's pretty good on the hero. Ban Bloodseeker, pick your hero, which is Pangolier. And I'm a bit surprised on the CK ban as well. I think they understood that it was a good lane with a Podum. Well, we did play it versus some in the upper bracket, the CK Podum lane. So they probably had maybe some PTSD from that. But it's also just a good hero. And I think the hero is actually good versus Leshrac because he's similar to when I talked about Lina versus Leshrac in the first video and they banned that after playing Liquid. He's a hero that can burst the Leshrac. The Leshrac will go in, you pipe your CK so he doesn't Bloodstone heal off the illusions, and then you just burst him in 1 second. And Leshrac can't run in because of that, this threat of the burst. So we picked Pangolier, and they responded to Pango by taking Silencer here and Naga Siren. And honestly, I was very surprised I picked Naga Siren because while I had watched Crystallis play Naga in pubs, I honestly thought his Naga farm was pretty good in his pubs. He had some 19-minute Manta Orchids, his map movement looked good. I feel like Naga Siren is actually a hero that you need to practice as a team. I feel like this hero, I might be biased because I play a lot of Naga Siren, is maybe the highest skill cap hero and team hero in the game because she plays so weird and there's always more stuff for you to do on the map. You can use your illusions to like scout, cut waves, stack camps, all while like doing the normal things of heroes. You have to like realize what your timing is in the game. And the thing is, if you miss your timing window, this hero becomes very pathetic very fast. I've had a lot of games, we played a lot of games, probably in pubs, all of us, where Naga Siren's dominate a map and then some Medusa sits on a high ground and just eventually wins the game. And that's sort of our idea that we had as soon as we saw this Naga Siren, is that we're going to want to out carry this hero and outscale her eventually. I think Leshrac and Naga Siren, I was actually playing the pub the other day and it showed the Dota plus win rates were plus 5.67% as a combo. I don't really know what those numbers mean, but apparently they're very good together. But in my head, these heroes are actually not the best together, so I'm sort of surprised at those numbers. The reason being is I think how they fight is sort of different, and I'm not sure. I guess I can see it because when Leshrac gets his Blink Hex, he's very strong at doing pickoffs with the Naga Legions on the map, and he can provide team fight. Leshrac's like a weird hero. Sometimes he provides team fight, sometimes he's like worst dog in team fighting. Anyways, we decided to pick the Beastmaster. I think this probably surprised them because it was similar to game 1 where they felt like they had heroes that countered our 18 pick. Naga Siren in game 1, they had the Leshrac, and in this game they had the Naga Siren versus Beastmaster, which a lot of teams picked. I think maybe it's in Arlington. I think we lost really hard to Naga Siren with Beastmaster, but we had played this matchup a lot, and Neta really believes in his ability to win this lane, even if it's supposed to be disadvantaged or whatever. And I think specialization and belief in your players is really important in these matches. And like when he suggested Beastmaster, everyone was super happy with it. I don't think I had an idea that like Naga Siren was going to counter this guy in lane when Neta calls for it. So we were able to pick the Beastmaster, and you can already tell like the reserve time sort of ticking down. They're not sure like, oh, they picked Beastmaster here. What are we supposed to do now? And the other reason why the reserve time is ticking down is that when you are first pick, you have to actually decide your pick before you do your bans. So they end up picking Ember Spirit here, but they actually need to ban 2 heroes that they think make it hard for Ember Spirit to play the game. So the 2 heroes that they decided to ban were Troll Warlord and Lifestealer. I think Troll, he can kill Ember Spirit pretty well. He's good versus Naga Siren, and maybe the Eggs build was a bit too good this game versus like some Silencer spells plus Naga spells and Ember Root and stuff. And the other hero they decided to ban was Leicester, who is also good versus... I mean, Leicester is a pretty good hero this game, actually. I think it would have been good versus all 4 of the heroes except Marcy, and it's not like it's bad versus Marcy, it's just sort of a wash. For us, we decided that we want to ban heroes that let them play the map with Naga Siren. They gave them a bit more pick off. So we decided to ban the Rasta and the Clockwork. And these heroes would allow them to play the Marcy on position 3 and play these supports that sort of catch our heroes as 4 position. So going on, they decided to pick the Ember Spirit, and we sort of discussed for a while. And I know it like sort of sounded like a meme when we did the interview that Skitter got the Medusa set, but that was legitimately, I think, a lot of the reason that the idea of this hero was in our heads already, because he got the set. He's like, guys, I need to play Medusa, and we were all laughing, right? Because it's like sort of a joke. He was probably serious, but we were all laughing, you know how it goes. But Medusa is actually a hero that we had talked about during the 5-day break as a hero that is good versus both Leshrac and Naga Siren. And this is a very like traditional counter because Medusa wasn't really picked that much this tournament, but he's good versus Leshrac because you just hit him from far with Skadi. He can't really burst you. I think Mana Shield reduces how much his Bloodstone life steals. I'm pretty sure that's true for Satanic, and I'm slightly less sure that's true for Bloodstone, but you have Skadi and stuff anyways. And it's good versus Naga Siren because you protect your entire team from her illusions. If it's really bad, you can ulti to reset, and eventually you will outscale Naga Siren super hard. Unless you have a specific hero that deals with Medusa, it's very hard for Naga Siren to scale in the game. They ended up picking the Ember Spirit. When I saw this hero, in my head, I didn't say it because I don't want to jinx the players, but I was really happy with the draft. Because I understood that Ember Spirit with their lineup does not have enough sustained damage. Because this is just a Leshrac 3, it's not like a Leshrac 2. As long as our safe lane does not crumble and let this Leshrac snowball on the offline position, he does not have the same farm priority that a mid Leshrac gets. So he's not going to like output the sustained damage. It's also very hard for him to just run in this game. He's going to run in, he's going to get tiny combo, Rodon, arrowed, maybe even some axes and roar. He's just going to die. They don't have a real save because once the roll starts, like the global doesn't do that much, and even sleep might not be enough this game once we get our BKBs off, or it's just how it is with Leshrac. So we end up picking this Medusa. I think we decided really fast that we were going to pick the Medusa, but we spent the extra bonus time here, so we're talking about, oh, here's how we want to play the fights, here's how our lanes are going to go, blah, 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 just doing the level 1 stuff. We're just talking about stuff that needs to be talked about, but we have a bit of extra time while they don't know our pick. So we ended up picking the Medusa, and I think we are really confident in our lineup this game. In the end, like, we hadn't played Medusa for a long time. We actually didn't play, maybe since... When's the last time we played a lot of Medusa? Like Stockholm Major? Maybe the bootcamp before that? Or something like that. But Skitter had learned it, so it's still in his hero pool, and I think the game was very smooth because we knew that we always had to outscale and the win condition this game. And their win condition in this game, in my opinion, was to like snowball off this Ember level 7. Like they had to, you bring both supports, this Ember keeps sliding your mid, and you bring heroes and you fight 3v3, but Ember's super strong at that point, and then just snowball the map off that. We prevented that, so the game felt really good to me watching the game as coach. After that, eventually I think we took a good fight in this game, as that's how it goes. Like if they miss their timing and you hit yours, you're eventually going to get a good fight, where we were able to like roll and catch the Naga a couple times. And yeah, that was it for the series. I love 3-0s. Yeah, anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave me some feedback on my Twitter. Nothing too mean, I hope, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and until next time, thanks everyone.